My name's Chris.
And I'm Krsitie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's the end of Gordon Ramsay week.
Well, was it tonight or was it last night?
No, tonight we decided to celebrate Gordon Ramsay week by having somebody that knows Gordon Ramsay.
Who works at Gordon Ramsay.
Who's been part of Gordon Ramsay's family and spent Christmas. I mean, he's spent Christmas with him, I don't think so.
Maybe Easter or at least Pancake Day.
Gordon saw him once, I'm pretty sure of it. But Gordon did his big thing last night where he's like, oh, so this is the end of my week, but I've got a surprise for you. And the surprise was, well, not Gordon.
I won't be here. Ta-da!
But I will give them credit. They got their money's worth out of Ramsay.
Certainly did.
So what I loved about the start of last night's episode was it was like they've worked out where the money is, because they walked into the Masterchef kitchen.
Yep.
None of the three judges, just Gordon Ramsay. And it was Gordon Ramsay's show last night. Right up until judging, it was Gordon Ramsay's show.
It was Hell's Kitchen Light. It was Hell's Kitchen PG.
It was Purgatory's Kitchen.
Purgatory's Kitchen.
Not Hell's Kitchen, Purgatory's Kitchen. So he comes in, he breaks people in, goes, you stand over there, good, you're red team, you're blue team. Right now, pick a leader. So we had the two leaders chosen. Now, the red team, I can think only for reasons of safety and security. Pick Brendan. So I assume the reason.
Let's not let him near the cobram.
Yeah, let's put him in a situation where he's not directly near a naked flame or sharp instrument or cobram, because you got to keep him away from everything. The blue team picked Chloe. Now,
I like Chloe, but I don't think it was the night to pick her. She did well on Monday night in the elimination challenge.
But it's just coming out the other end of an elimination.
You don't pick someone who's on the other end of an elimination to be a team captain. They're not in a good headspace.
And she's been, the last couple of weeks, especially, the last week and a bit especially, every time they talk to her about her kids, they get a mental breakdown and they get tears and they get this is so difficult.
Well, the Masterchef gods demand salty, salty tears.
They do.
Of parents.
They also demand sacrifices. We'll come to the sacrifice in a moment, because Gordon brought this up. It's Gordon's fault, really. He brought the whole thing up and Chloe just thought she'd help. But they break them into teams and they've got to do a service. I liked the fact they had to present an entree, a main, and a dessert for Gordon before service too.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I liked that. That was really good, because it made you actually have to plan properly.
And steer the ship, and it was probably a mechanism as well to kind of get people trying to be on time, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't expect a full, perfect dish to be up, but you'd expect something close to
because it is early to do a full service.
Oh, absolutely.
And also, the other thing I think it does is it allows them the moments to give Gordon time to be Gordon, because he hadn't really been Gordon Ramsay so far in terms of what everyone anticipates Gordon Ramsay to be.
Yeah.
And it gave him some moments where it's him running a pass and you know what Gordon Ramsay running a pass looks like.
Yep. What I love, though, it's been devilish. All week you've been getting the nice Gordon, the friendly Gordon, the Gordon who will mentor you, the Gordon who will show you, the keeping up with Gordon. And then tonight, last night, you get Gordon.
You got Gordon.
Ramsay.
Again, still Gordon Ramsay light-ish compared to what he can be, but it was proper Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, we got a Gordonism.
Well, we got a couple of Gordonisms.
But really, what we need to do is we can only be like James Cameron, really. Exploring the Titanic from the evidence that we've been presented with,
Yes, the Titanic is the blue team.
Yeah. The red team seemed to have a bit of, a few crucial points, but they
got their shit together. So let's start with, before we get there, I talked very early on about the idea of the first team to do a parfait losers, and that was a bit of ha 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 ha. And then they start planning out the dishes, and no, we didn't get a parfait.
No.
Got a fucking panna cotta. I am getting so far beyond, as Krsitie does, I am getting so far beyond
a panna cotta.
Panna cotta.
Yeah.
I'm over parfait. I'm over panna cotta. Look, to be honest with you, I'll take a fucking ice cream at this point.
Yeah. What about a nice pastry of some kind?
Yeah,
About
it was a Danish.
a Danish. I don't know what. Like you've got a bit of time there, so surely you've got time to.
Surely a sfogliatelli, easy to
Yeah.
whip up. You know, just cure some hog fat for 8 hours. It'd be great.
Yeah, rough puff into something.
Exactly. So we had.
Sfogliatelli's so a bit slow.
Yeah,
You
we'll
just want
pick
to
it up.
say
I just want to say
sfogliatelli.
sfogliatelli because we may have had it tonight.
Toffee apples, they're good.
I want
They're
to
nice
see
and licky.
somebody present a toffee apple. I mean, I know they sort of did the toffee apple ice cream idea the other night, but
Yeah.
I really want to see. I want to see it now because they sort of did with it. They placed the 3 bits of apple over the top, so they sort of
Yeah.
did it. But I want a proper toffee apple. That would
Yeah,
be fun.
just apple.
A real one.
Toffee stick.
So we started off and it's like, here we go. This will be a big night. This will be an interesting night. Oh, what the? Oh, okay. We're back to ER. And Chloe obviously decided that the other team captain had been wounded last week and she needed to even up the ledger. Or Ramsay had demanded sacrifice and it was to her that he demanded sacrifice.
Yes.
So she took Gordon literally and tried to burn her arm off.
The Masterchef gods are thirsty.
They are really thirsty. Now, the problem for Chloe was the gods demand blood sacrifices. Ask Brendan, he'll tell you.
Yeah, a burn's a burn, you know?
You know, you get over that.
Singe a bit of flesh. No, they like the good stuff, the red stuff,
They like-
They like the
Stuff that flows.
what's it called? There's something vitae. I don't know.
Anyway,
It's a thing.
they like the stuff that flows. They like the stuff that runs. They like the
Vitamin
stuff that
vitae.
they like the stuff that only bottles of Cobram can produce. So Chloe burning her arm was sort of a poor attempt at an offering. And
Brendan went and glassed himself last week. That's what I reckon he happened. He just gone, oh, the gods need us. Smash, glass.
yeah, we never saw what actually happened.
Yeah.
I can only assume he ran upstairs, smashed the bottle against the wall, and just dug it in.
Yeah.
But so Chloe tries to burn her own arm off.
Yes.
That doesn't quite work. I mean, look,
No.
I think the burning just meant that their dessert was good.
Yeah.
I think if maybe she'd had a deep gash that wasn't bleeding, maybe
No.
the entree would have been good too. And if
Yeah.
she'd cut the arm right off, everything would have been perfect.
For the next 6 years.
Next 6 years, perfect cooks, and Chloe wins.
Which one of you are
with
going to
one
maim
arm.
yourself?
Yeah, who's going to win with one arm? We talked about it the other night with Brendan. Who is prepared to win this contest with one arm?
Because so far Brendan's winning this. Or Brendan's winning
At this point in time, Brendan is indeed winning the competition because he tried to cut a limb off. Right? The gods like sacrifice.
Yeah.
So we got ready and they were planning their dishes. So the first discussion that was had was, right.
We need you to bleed. So that was a bit slow.
That was, yeah.
We need the bleed.
Anyway, so
Yes,
the first
first
thing that
dish.
happened was they decided to do a pasta.
Yep.
Why not? Because Gina's there.
Yep.
So they go, let's do. Well, what are we going to do? We do a fettuccine, or are we going to do a no? Let's do a stuffed pasta.
Yep.
And Gina's like,
You
no,
can tell she didn't really want to do that.
no, let's not. Let's really not stuff anything. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
No, we're going to do a stuffed pasta. No, we're not. We're not going to do a stuffed pasta. And then the next thing you know, not only is Gina going, okay, we're going to do it, but now she's really on board and can't wait to make it.
Yep.
So
Out she goes. Team player.
she is. Now, we do need to talk about the pasta, however, because Gina got a lot of credit last night for her pasta and got a lot of credit for the spaghetti that she came up with at the end that tried to save the entree.
But there was a lot of... Okay, the timeline, and we can only go by the evidence presented.
And that is the thing you have to remember. The evidence presented is what the editing
Yeah.
shows, but...
But it just seemed a bit off in terms of, you know, about 2 or 3 times. No, about 3 times. It was more than 2. That there's been a whole, where's your filling? And she's like, where's my filling? And other shit was happening in the kitchen, but it was this same shot of her going, where's my filling? So it's like, what happened in that meantime? Because...
My question was, and we both asked this question watching last night. She did a great job with the pasta. Not taking that away.
Hells no.
What the fuck was she doing while she was waiting for the filling?
Because this is what happened, right? There's a lot of kerfuffling about what was going to be on mains, and then they decided on a salmon for main.
And we'll come back to that salmon in a minute too.
So, but the knock-on effect from that is that the people who were allocated the mains have gone, oh, well, Ben can do that. And so that was Sarah and Loki.
Yep.
And Loki basically said, oh, well, Ben can do it. He's a better filleter. And gave that over to Ben to do. So he's been pulled off the entree where he was doing all the filling and the, what's it called?
The
The consomme with Joe. or maybe Joe was, I don't know, but those two were doing the consomme and the filling. So he was pulled off that and Loki went in. Now, why didn't Loki pick up the slack? Like, what was going on with the communication?
Yeah, Loki and
because I saw Joe playing on the consomme.
Yeah, Loki and Gina just sort of seemed to be floating at one point there. And, like, Gina was going, where's my filling, where's my filling, where's my filling? Well, you've made the pasta, possibly go over and help with the filling.
Yeah.
And Loki just seemed to be floating completely.
And then fucked it up by grabbing the fish stock and pouring it into the consomme.
Yeah, and then so Joe finished off the stock, and without asking or anything, he just grabbed the pan and tipped it. It's like, no, it doesn't go in there.
Yeah.
And just wasn't paying attention. So, I mean, interestingly enough, and we'll talk about Loki obviously a bit more shortly, but he kind of got himself into elimination, really.
He did. Like, it just, there was
He kind of did it to himself.
There was something that just didn't make sense at that point. And there was quite a few, it was like a domino effect of, you pulled Ben out of one system that he was working on, put him into another with this salmon, which must have come in really late for that salmon not to be prepped and cooked, ready to cook properly.
Well, what came down as well was a leadership element. Now, we'll talk about blue team first and then we'll go to red team. But the blue team last night, what you had was Chloe didn't seem sure on anything in terms of who was doing what. Her instructions were vague. And the other big problem that Chloe seemed to have was, and everybody online was commenting by the end of the episode, she didn't seem to have her own opinion. Every time Gordon says something, she sort of just went around Gordon and went, yeah, do that. Yeah, do that. It's like, take an opinion, have an opinion, hold an opinion. What the red team did brilliantly, and where I'm going to give Brendan all of the credit in the world, and I think it was Aldo who mentioned it last night. No, that was... I can't remember who it was. Somebody on the red team. Oh, Reese mentioned it. Reese talked about it. What Brandon did so brilliantly was, if you looked at the blue team, they all got flustered when Gordon came directly over to them and started asking them about their dish and what they were doing and what they were supposed to be doing.
Yep.
What Brendan did was divert Gordon. He was the point man. You wanted to talk about the dishes? Brendan went, me, over here, talk to me.
And what do you want done differently with them? What do you need adjusted? And that's what Brendan did. And yeah, he missed a bit about trimming the fat.
But that was it.
But that was it, and that was easily rectified.
And what he did was allowed everybody to do their job.
Yep.
Gave them all their jobs and just went, go do what you have to do, go do it. If you need anything, don't go to the other, come back through me and I'll reroute somebody that we need.
Yeah.
When, for example, they needed to stuff all their tortellini.
Yeah.
What did Brendan do? He suddenly went, right, everybody, leave what you're doing for a minute. We're ahead on everything. Get everyone over here. Everyone, stuff the tortellini. And they got him out.
And I think what exemplified this most on the blue team was when Aldo had carefully made all the panna cotta half size. Who's in charge of the dessert? Aldo and Kristen. So they knew what they were doing, what they were preparing, why they only wanted a half panna cotta.
Yep.
Okay, it may have been a bad choice, but...
It was their choice.
It was their choice. Over comes Gordon and says, no, that should be full. Don't you think, Chloe, that should be full?
And Chloe, no, guys, that should have been full. Now, that wasn't the discussion. And then suddenly and what annoyed me about it, and, there's jokes coming later, people. There was a whole innuendo joke tonight, so you're coming to that. But what annoyed me about that segment was that it was almost like Chloe was if you've got kids at school, it's like Chloe's that kid who's sort of trying to, everyone might be in a bit of trouble. So she's trying to step above everyone else and go, yeah, you all need to do better. And that's really annoying because, like, they did what they were supposed to do, what they discussed to do.
Yep.
And then when it didn't look like Gordon wanted, Chloe, rather than going, oh, look, we made that call, we might adjust it, went, yeah, no, that needs to be full, guys. You should have made those full. And it just felt like she was throwing them under the bus.
Yeah, I don't think she was in the right headspace.
No.
And you can see that tonight as well on the episode. Chloe she's off this week. I have my thoughts about that, why she's off. A lot of it could be homesickness. She's away from her kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's off this week. She wasn't the right choice for captain.
No.
I would have gone for Ben. I may have gone for... You couldn't do Aldo and you couldn't do Kristen. You couldn't do Loki either because he'd been captain. So I probably would have gone for Ben. If Joe had been more prominent, you would have thrown Joe in there.
But yeah, we had a really... the blue team didn't quite know what they were doing. The red team did. The red team's dramas were not major in comparison. The red team's dramas were they threw tortellini in a little bit early and then had to take them out and put them in ice water. The dumplings, yeah, sorry. Not, I don't want to say tortellini, they're dumplings. Sorry, everyone. My bad. They threw them all into ice water.
They were Asian tortellini.
That'll do. So they threw them all into ice water, chilled it down. That was fine. They got away with that a little bit. They were sort of picking at things to say were wrong. They couldn't really find much. A bit of the fat on the pork belly, that was it. And it's pork belly. I like a bit of fat on pork belly. Anyway, not a lot, but a little bit of fat on pork belly. But what we did get from Gordon was some classic Gordonism. So he starts off, he grabs the salmon when they're supposed to make a crispy skin salmon. And he grabs the salmon the first time and he pulls at the skin. He goes, look at this. The salmon skin's like rubber. It's like a rubber. And he paused.
He's gone, this is Australian TV.
Glove. Now,
it's like
he quite clearly wanted to call it a condom.
He ready for him to go, I could slap this on my willy and go to town and not impregnate anyone with it. It's so rubbery.
It really was. He was clearly going to call it a condom and then thought better of it and went glove. It's like, Gordon, you've never fucking called
a love glove.
A love glove. Slip on the love glove. If it's not on, it's not on. So he did that, and then he followed it up with possibly the best Gordonism of the entirety of this series.
Yep.
When he picked up the salmon and he's flaking it, and he's like, look at this. Look at this. I could put it back in the sea and it would start swimming. Followed by Gordon deciding to make good on what had happened the previous night where he threw the bag of prunes and they just floated and he's grabbed the salmon and just picked it down the kitchen. And it was almost like you could hear in his head go, that's what I was fucking going for.
Yes, they should have plated it in the toilet because then they could have just flushed the fish down
when they
back
said,
out to sea.
When Brendan came over at the start, was like, "Are we plating here?" And he's like, "No, we're plating in the ladies' toilet." It's like, fucking Gordon, he's not got time for your shit. And then Gary comes over with George, and they're like, So you got any time to talk? And Gordon's like, not really.
No.
Like, I'm going to have a cup of tea for you. And he's like, you do that. Turn around. You almost see Gordon in his head going, oh, for fuck's sake, go sit down. Leave me alone with these people. And Gordon really started to amp up the Gordonness. And it was lovely. Again, look, the panna cotta moment we said there was a bit of bad leadership on behalf of Chloe. But it was a very Gordon moment.
Absolutely.
Running over, you, stop there. What do you call this? These aren't full. You want to serve this? Do you want to serve this? I don't want that on my pass. Yeah. 3 or 4 times he threatened to shut them down before remembering this isn't Hell's Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't get that option in MasterChef. You don't get to shut the kitchen down.
No.
It's not part of the rules.
But you can threaten it.
He can threaten it. It's Gordon Ramsay. He can do whatever he wants. I wanted to see him shut them down and then have George and that try to tell him no.
I really felt for everyone on the blue team. Like, that would have been intimidating. The ship was sinking. They couldn't dig up. There were no paddles in sight. But you took one for us because there are so many good Gordon moments that we got out of that.
I was wonderful.
Thank you.
So they tried to make it seem like it was a contest. Unfortunately, you could tell from, like, moment one it wasn't. The blue team were really slow as well, which didn't help. Like, the red team were all standing there. There's a great shot towards the very end. Because the red team worked really well. They were great. Jess and Reese on desserts in particular were a dynamic duo. They were demons. In a Ben word, they were demons.
Because everything was demonic to Ben.
Ben, again, last night was talking about things being demon-like. It's like, do you have another word?
Maybe the Masterchef thing, because it's been 10 years of this, right? It's taken on a genus Loki. Like, it's become this, like...
Oh, even better. Even better.
Yeah.
Maybe this is why people are sacrificing. Maybe why there's blood and there's burning and it's demons. This is the haunted series.
Yeah, it's kind of haunted. But the Masterchef kitchen has essentially become an entity in itself, demanding sacrifice and blood.
When do we find out?
Salty tears.
When do we find out that the Vesper is sentient?
It's one of its minions.
I love the idea that the Vesper is actually a sentient being.
Yes, Master.
At the end of it, no. The MasterChef kitchen turns around to the Vesper. Yes. What can we do? And the Vesper just goes, vroom, it will be done.
It's like Christine.
Yes, it is exactly. So they tried to make it feel like it was a contest. It wasn't. Yeah, so my favourite shot was Reese was standing behind the blue team while they were finishing serving, just sort of looking with bemusement about, are you still going? We've been done for a while.
It was a contest, say, between Ian Thorpe and Eddie the Eel, whatever his name was.
Eric Wasambani, yes. Eric the Eel, you're right. Eric Wasambani. So it was a contest insofar as they were both in water. It was a contest insofar as they were both in a kitchen. And nobody on the blue team seemed remotely shocked at all. And, like, even when Aldo tried to say they might be okay, he was like, well, we were slow and we had some problems, but maybe the flavour's okay.
Your optimism, Aldo.
But he didn't even say good.
No.
Aldo was like, maybe the flavour's okay. And that was the closest he could get.
It's like, hell is raining down on them. There's brimstone and he's like, look, it's a pleasant day.
Look, it's like a sun shower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot, so it could be a sun shower.
It's bright out. It's like a sunny day.
It's just the river is flowing.
Blood.
It might be blood and lava, but it's flowing. Got a riverside view. It's
Everyone's
great.
got a day off work.
Exactly. Who's going to work in weather like this? So, and then Gordon turns around to us and goes, "This is the end of Gordon week for me." It's like, well, hang on, you are Gordon. So how does Gordon Ramsay week continue? I've got a surprise for you tomorrow.
It's going to happen next time they get him on. He's going to be there for 2 days. But eventually he's going to duck in for an hour, give a little wave, shake and press a few hands,
I wonder if...
kiss a few babies, and off he goes.
I wonder if what he meant by surprise was that he actually paid all of the workers for their time. Just putting it out there. Maybe that was what it was. It's a bit of a shock in the Masterchef kitchen, let's face it. There's a couple of people who have issue with that. Anyway, moving on. So that brings us to the elimination, and people are in black. Now, Channel 10 did a great job of building up the drama over whether Loki would play his pin or not by last night saying Loki has his pin but doesn't play it. What? You could have built the stress up. You could have built the tension up a little bit more. I know they wanted to build up the will it be a mistake angle.
Yeah.
But, like, give away the fact that he doesn't play his pin.
By showing him actually cooking.
And showing him having his meltdown. I mean, I get what they were going for, but, like, it was a big giveaway.
Yeah, but I think in this situation it works because then it's a will he or won't he. They shouldn't have showed the meltdown, though. They should have gone...
My problem with Loki not playing the pin... I do have... And not just the fact that he ended up going home. My problem with Loki not playing the pin was... At his best, he's been brilliant.
Yep, at his worst.
What I have been worried about with Loki, though, is occasionally he has these moments of overconfidence.
Yep.
And he feels like, nothing can touch me. Again, the trust the Loki comment, which is a great and funny comment.
And it worked that day.
But it does also give you that slight hint of overconfidence, and there is a fine line to be walked between the two.
Yeah.
And I worried about the idea of not playing the pin. Meaning that sort of overconfidence was going to come back and bite him, which it did. And
considering he'd been in the kitchen the day before and not had a good run, surely you go, look, I'm not risking it. I'm not on point. I'm going to... And, like, the whole idea of it being a gesture to show his son that he's going to do it on his merits...
No.
Bullshit. You're doing it on your merits. You earned that pin.
As Kira tweeted out tonight, talking about the son doing it on his merits... It's like, Dad, I'd rather have the money. I mean, I couldn't get over the fact that he sort of went for that. I thought it was a dumb call at the time. I know that other people have done that and got through, but the difference is you were dealing with something in Ramsay Week that you weren't sure what the hell it was.
Yep.
The way that the rest of the week had gone was a bit crazy, and you're like, well, okay... I wouldn't be risking it. I
get another week out of it.
Don't risk it at this point, especially since there are more pins to be won.
Yep.
So, like,
give yourself a rest.
Give yourself a chance at winning another one. Like, if you are that confident, play it. Trust your confidence. You can win another one. That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I can distinctly recall myself going, "Don't play your pin. It's too early. It's too soon, Reese."
Reese has a pin. Doesn't have to play it, but he has a pin.
Yeah. But it's more that in this case, he goes, I followed my heart, not my head. And it's like,
yeah, follow your head.
Follow your head in this instance makes a lot more sense. It does make me wonder if his son is code for dominatrix, though. Because any child, I am sure, would be saying, Dad, use your fucking pin. I'd be like, I wouldn't let my dad live that down. I'd be like,
I wouldn't.
No.
Like, you went home when you had the chance to stay. What are you doing?
It's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a futile gesture. It's just...
Like being on Survivor and having 2 immunity idols and going home?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone who watches Survivor last year knows what happens when you've got a couple of immunity idols and go home with 2 of them. That's genius. Anyway, so... Let's get off the whole serious what are you doing Loki thing and let's get on to the fucking innuendos. This is what you're all here for.
Yeah.
You're all here to talk about massaging breasts.
So that's how they got there. That's how we arrived at tonight. We're boobs and breasts akimbo.
Breasts akimbo. So what happened was Gordon's Australian man, I'm not going to right-hand man because he's not, he's Australian man, walked into the kitchen. Now
Aussie Gordon.
Now they talked about the idea of, he's one of the few Australians to have Michelin stars. Well, we don't actually have the Michelin rating in Australia.
No.
So it's very hard to get them.
Exactly.
You've got to be overseas working in a kitchen to get them because you can't get one here. We don't follow the Michelin guide. So that's a problem.
But do you have any hats?
So what we decided to do was bring in a guy who knows Gordon to finish off Ramsay week.
Gordo.
We're going to call him Gordo now.
Yep.
And when he came in, normally they're like,
if he was Italian Gordon, he'd be Guido.
So Matt came in, and normally at this point is when they come up with, I can't believe I'm cooking against insert name here.
Yeah.
And what they did instead was like, he's looking serious. That's the best they had. They didn't even have any. They had, and then all the way through the night, they're like, oh, look at that. You can see he works with Gordon Ramsay. How? Like he looked a bit miffed in a kitchen. Apparently, he works with Gordon.
Because as we know, chefs are renowned for being happy clappers.
They're wonderful people.
You just walk into a kitchen, it's
sunshine,
like peaceful.
Sunshine, lollipops and rainbows, everything that's wonderful. And cook the fucking steak.
Namaste. Now get to fucking work. What are you doing in my kitchen? Did I say you could be here? Fuck off. That's what they've said to me.
Now, what they were making was this chicken with the herb consommé. Not to be confused, of course, with Dave Dobbins' backing band, The Herbs.
And the herb mousse.
And it was the herb mousse, yes. The herb mousse was wonderful. And the herb mousse gave us so much joy.
And you had to stuff the herb mousse.
So we started, you had to start with deboning.
Okay.
So it was a deboning before a stuffing.
Which, I've seen that done on one of the Dr. Oz or something, where they like... Or Dr. Hollywood, Dr. Ray.
One of those. I don't know, one of those quacks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had Ben reading out what he had to do on the steps on the recipe, which sounded like the least sexy erotic story in history. So now what I have to do is I have to reach under and probe. I'm pushing firmly underneath the skin. I feel the mound. And this is what he was saying. But it was in that Ben sort of monotone, very matter-of-fact statement.
No, you know why?
It's like, I'm now rubbing it very firmly and getting as deep as I can into the tissue. And I'm like, wow, dude.
I like to think before, though, right? He's there and he goes, well, got my finger into that mound and gave it a good wiggle. Like, it was just...
It was really enthusiastic. And
really enthusiastic. And like, Ben, we can't do this.
Back it down.
Back it down. He goes, what? But you told me to, like, perk it up. And like... Not here. Not with these words.
Producers in the corner going, I'm spent. I need 5 minutes.
There is an R-rated version somewhere.
Somewhere.
On some producers and editors, like little spiel they keep from.
And when you got the recipe, they opened the recipe and they looked at it and they're like, this is 7 pages long. And as I said on Twitter, I said 6 pages of it was just the words, you're fucked, over and over again. But when you actually looked at the recipe, and this is not to downplay it was complex. But it wasn't as complex as I expected. What it was time pressure.
Yeah.
You had to debone a fucking chicken. Actually, 2 of them. And you had to make sure that the skin didn't break. And you had to make sure so the skin had to be perfect and couldn't have a hole in it because you needed to stuff it. You needed to do the puree and have that to be the mousse and have that perfect. You had to then get the right amount of mousse under the skin.
So it was less about, I think, a complex nature and a more technical... It was technical things to hit, which is good at this stage.
It was technique, timing, and measurement.
Yeah.
These were the 3 things you needed to be able to work.
And look at Ben's bench. Holy shit, that was clean.
That bench made me feel horrible about
you
my
and
life.
Marcus Mateo are just in the corner rocking back and forth going, that's just nasty. What are you doing with that clean bench, Ben? Just at least throw some flour on that shit.
Now, at this point is when Chloe gave us the line that it's very hard, of course, to judge the thickness of mousse under the breast.
I don't know. Just get your hands in there.
Just look, I've heard doctors talk about this. Just under, just a bit of a feel.
Yeah.
Squeeze, look for the lumps.
And I think in preparation, if you're ever going to mousse your breasts, is just to do a little breast exam check, Yeah. Don't forget, flat of your hand, flat of your fingers, across your boob, going underneath.
And then once you've done that, work out the area where the mousse can fit.
Yeah.
In you go. Look, forget silicone. Mousse is the new silicone. Right?
Ooh, I could get Yogo. Maybe I could do Yogo boobies.
No, because now we're getting onto all sorts of weird lactations things.
Oh, no.
It's becomes a soft serve, and we don't need that in our lives. Nobody needs boob soft serve in their life.
But what if I have a child? It will have variety.
You don't want to give it an option, right? Children shouldn't have an option at 0 to 6.
Well, genetic modifications are coming in.
What? So you want one to be breast milk and one to be Yogo? Is that what we're after?
Hey, if not for the kid, for me.
Bit hungry this afternoon. Anyway, moving on.
Going back to the breast.
This has been our most successful month ever, guys, by the way. Thank you. So it was really... Let's get on to my favourite thing about tonight. And Frida's favourite thing about tonight.
Yes.
Jo.
Finally, she detrented. She threw off her ninja cloak, she is.
We've been worried about the fact she's been trenting the whole way through.
Yep.
And tonight was Jo's coming out party, and everyone on Twitter was like, where the fuck did this woman come from?
Who
the hell is
she'd
she?
undone her ponytail, flung off her glasses.
My God, you're beautiful.
And down she comes the stairs. Here she is.
Miss America. And what I loved was when Matt Preston came over and said, I pressure test your thing. And she just looked at him and went, don't jinx it.
Yeah.
Not done yet. Don't jinx it. But every element that Jo put up was just bang on.
The way she poached her breasts.
Oh, she poached her breast like a pro.
She got her breast nice and wet.
Put her breast in the water bath.
I wanted to throw beads in it when she took her breast out.
got a pad, throw beads. What do we do? We throw beads at people.
Oh, just to give you a point of reference, that is from which show?
Craig
was that?
Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson.
Jeff Peterson.
Talking
about his little pad.
Yeah.
Where they drive and throw beads at people.
Yeah, I just thought I'd give people points of reference because otherwise they sound like nutters.
We are nutters.
True. Okay, we'll just throw
beads.
So
we're throwing beads at people. So
skinny dipping. Well, they did. Put your breasts in the water. It's like skinny dipping.
And it was a bit... So Jo, took off and was just, absolutely perfect with what she did.
Yeah.
Ben was like a machine early on. And again, what we found with Ben is he's very good at following instructions.
Yes.
With the follow along with Gordon, he was very good at following along. With this, he was very good at following along. So Ben, when he gets guidance and structure, very good.
I'm really interested to see where Ben goes because he is learning a lot. He's taken on board everything he learnt this week and used it to produce what he did tonight.
That was one of the few times where they made a reference to things that Gordon had done.
Yeah.
And I agree with it where they went, look at the Gordon influence on him. His bench is absolutely
Gordon rubbed off on him.
He rubbed off on him. Well, we heard, good old Ramsay. So...
Get your money's worth.
So while they were really good and damn near perfect, you had two people that struggled, or three people who struggled hugely.
Yeah.
So Chloe...
Oh, dear.
My thing with Chloe is that she's all over the place. We talked about it just before about the team challenge. Chloe kind of...
And the interesting thing is, Chloe had the same experience as Ben this week. And Ben went one way and she went another.
What I'm worried about is we've talked a lot about this idea of the montage of mediocrity as your friend.
Yep, so Gina, Aldo and Kristen, all safe.
If you go... And Samira. If you go...
See, I barely knew she was in the bloody episode.
If you go really hard at this early and get noticed in the first couple of weeks, quite often that's when you fade away.
Yeah.
And I think that Chloe's in that sort of danger zone at the moment where she went really hard for the first few weeks. So expectations are now up. Yep. And then everything she produces that isn't to expectations is going to possibly cost her and get her eliminated.
Whereas Kristen's just gone quiet. She was really prominent in the first week.
Gone quite a bit.
And gone quiet.
Yep.
But she hasn't bombed. So that's
No, exactly. And most other people have sort of had a brief moment and then gone back into the pack again.
Yeah.
And not close to elimination, they're just in the pack.
Yeah.
The other person, before we talk about Loki again, the other person that I'm worried about is Sarah. Every time you've seen Sarah, and I love Sarah.
And I was really excited to see her come through. I'm like, oh, finally we see.
But what I'm worried about is every time we've seen Sarah, she's been
bombs.
falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like... And Matt commented on it tonight about the bit of the hair, and he said, your hair's almost a reflection of your state of mind at the moment. Where it was just sort of down and sort of raggedy and, like, stressed, and you could tell she was stressed.
Yeah.
And we've seen this a few times, and I'm worried long term for her future in the kitchen because I just don't know how. I don't know how she can keep rebounding from this because she keeps getting really close to the edge of going.
Yeah.
And you know, there were a couple of things that saved her, and we'll talk about one of the things. We'll talk about the main thing that saved her.
Yeah.
Kind of like now, which is Loki. So, do not trust the Loki.
Loki should have followed his head, not his heart.
But Loki was in trouble from like moment one.
I think Loki mistook his heart for his ego.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So Loki was in trouble from moment one, and he was having all sorts of issues and problems. He wasn't really listening when they were trying to give him advice.
He's making a stew instead of a consommé.
His timings were all over the place. You know, the chicken was sitting out, wasn't sitting in the right, wasn't in the oven, then it wasn't resting properly.
He wasn't handling his breast very well.
He wasn't having a good hand on the breast.
I just don't think he's a breast man.
I don't think he is too. And then, so the problem with Loki was that he was behind the 8 ball on the chicken. The chicken
Breast.
ended up being dry.
Oh, no one likes the dry breasts.
No one likes dry breasts.
You want to keep them well moisturised.
You want them moisturised and smooth.
Yes.
So he struggled with the breast.
Good texture you want on your breast.
He struggled to make
You get them in your mouth. You just want a good texture.
He struggled with the mousse.
A good mouthfeel.
He struggled with the mousse. Didn't quite work the way that he'd hoped it would work. That was a bit of a problem. Basically, every element was fucked. Look, not to put too fine a point on it, and sorry, but it's true. Every element was fucked.
I think if the judges could have found a way to help him stay, they would have kept
I
him.
got the feeling they were really desperately looking for something they could find.
Yeah.
And the problem was they had nothing.
No, and there were parts that just didn't help him, like that radish with the hair still on it.
And as, they said at the end, when they did
his
the
radish was rooted.
So when they did the judgment at the end, and they looked at Sarah as to where Sarah, your problem was this, and they looked at Chloe and went, Chloe, your problem was this. They looked at Loki and went, Loki, your problem was this,
and this,
and this, and this, and this, and you heard everyone in the kitchen everyone looked at Loki and went, oh shit,
dude.
this is done, and like it wasn't like nobody was shocked. No one was shocked.
No.
When they started to go through what was wrong with Loki's dish. Like, everyone just looked at Loki and was like, we were hoping it wasn't that dude, but you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
So, Loki goes home being the first MasterChef Australia contestant to go home with a pin.
Yep.
Give this pin to your son as a recollection of your failure. Because remember, he was the person who did say that his son would think that he'd failed him. So...
Again... Saying it's
Dominatrix, yeah, maybe. Ramsay week kind of was a great week, but it ended
really badly.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the fact they didn't have Gordon Ramsay for the last episode.
I don't like that there was no masterclass.
There was no masterclass. Although technically the whole week was a masterclass.
I don't care. Like, we had it with Nigella. We had it the week before. Tonight would have been good. I presume he had conflicting schedule and he couldn't stay. But you just don't know.
Well, surely you run that. You know, then you do the masterclass a night early.
Yeah. Or anyway,
you work something out. Anyway, I thought that the Gordon week itself was brilliant. I think they got their money's worth out of Gordon Ramsay.
Absolutely.
I also think that it may rub off on the judges and hopefully Shannon Bennett.
Yep.
To see what Ramsay did and go, right, that's how we should be doing this.
Yeah, just to change things up a little bit. Get them inspired as well, because they've been doing it for 10 years.
As we said in the last podcast, Gordon was able to inspire people to run through a wall. He was able to scream in Saatchi's face to the point where Saatchi, I think, is ready now to go and run for Prime Minister of Australia and of the UK and President of the United States all in one.
Yep, and
like, at the same time.
Middle East.
And peace to the Middle East. So I think that the positives of Ramsay Week was Gordon. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant, and not what I think anyone expected.
No.
The problem with Ramsay Week was the end of it, which was no Gordon and just sort of one of Gordon's minions turning up and going, "Hi, I've met him." And
it's like getting really, 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 really good foreplay, and it's like, yes, I'm going to go sleep now. It really did, because you're there and you're all prepped and primed and ready to go, and it's just like, well,
dude, come back.
That's it for me.
Dude, come back. I'm
ready to go.
Mama needs some help.
Yeah.
Mama needs a hand.
There's nothing about this is going to sleep right now.
So now that we've basically compared the contestants in the MasterChef kitchen to a very sexually frustrated,
look, they were the ones flashing their breasts today.
They were rubbing and flashing their breasts and making sure they could get their fingers as deep in as humanly possible into every crack and crevice.
Just opening up that mound.
Opening that mound, exactly. So with that, I think we'll leave this episode for tonight, and we will leave obviously this week. Now, next week, it's a what's under the box. It's not edible. What could it possibly be?
I presume it's a cooking implement of some kind that they have to use.
Human tears.
Body parts.
Body parts would be interesting.
Oh, who was it? Helen Spicer, I think her name is. Kim Spicer put up this tweet tonight. She goes, if I was a guest chef on MasterChef, I lift up my cloche and there'd be body parts. She goes, tonight we're cooking Lift's cloche. My co-worker Jim, annoying co-worker Jim. I just fucked that up completely. It was really hilarious. Go
look it up anyway. Go look it up anyway. So we had a really good week. We've had a really good week. Next week, we'll find out what the hell is under this box. Watch a bit letters from home or pictures of Chloe's children for everybody. Oh, yeah. So they can all cry over, I see what you mean. It's so upsetting. You're cooking for them. You should win. You should win. This is so good. Anyway, up until next week, I'm still Chris.
I'm still Krsitie.
And we'll catch you all then.
Ciao.